Hello, everybody. I am Saloni Shetty from ISHRE Mumbai chapter. I am the woman chair currently this year, and I will be conducting this heat load session for you all. So I know two heat load sessions have already been conducted previously, and those were basically the concept of the entire heat load points and what all things you're supposed to consider when you're doing your heat load calculation. So today's session is going to be a more hands-on experience on how to actually calculate the entire heat load. What parameters are to be considered from the ISHRE handbook, how to select the points, how to select what factors to be taken, and that is how the flow is going to be. So I'm going to be presenting the entire heat load presentation for you all on Microsoft Office PowerPoint. So in case you all have any doubts or questions regarding whatever I'm teaching, please feel free to put it up in the Q&A box or the chat section, and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. And if there is anything that you want me to elaborate on, then you can also contact me separately. Ask your faculty advisor, put up the questions to him, and he can forward it to me. Anyway, you all can reach out to me for any type of question. Okay, so So this is the office space that I'm going to do the heat load calculation on. It is a pretty basic office space. I've taken the section or the part from your ISTL drawing itself. So this is one of the offices in your ISTL drawing. So this will make it easier for you all to visualize it and do the remaining heat load calculations on your own correctly. Okay. So this is what a typical heat load sheet looks like. This is an example of the E20 sheet. So this is also, just one second. Hold on. Okay, so this is how the sheet looks like. This sheet was also given at the end of the ISHRE handbook section 1. That is called the E20 format, and this sheet is how that E20 sheet is how this sheet has been derived. That has a lot more characteristics. This has a simple characteristics for you all to conduct your simple heat load calculations, since you all have a simple office space, so you all don't need a lot of parameters in your heat load calculations. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is define the area that you are working on. So this is what the area is. So I'll put up sheet number 1. The room is called office 2. Today's date will be put. The job is ISTL. Then I'll calculate the total area for the office space. I'll put up the area here. The height that I have considered for my heat load calculations are 13.12 feet, and the total volume will be area into height, that is 67,490 cubic feet. Now we are going to go ahead for the summer conditions. Now summer conditions, this particular block is consisting of two things. One is the location and one is the human comfort. So when I'm talking about the location, it is about the outdoor condition. When I'm talking about human comfort, it is about the indoor condition. So first, let us do the location. Now, for my reference and for the ease of calculation, this particular office space that I'm going to conduct the heat load on is for Mumbai region. Okay. So from this sheet, I have taken the Mumbai region. I have the city longitude. If you all can see my mouse, I have the city, the longitude, the latitude, elevation, and then what right ahead of it, I have my cooling TV and my cooling WB. Cooling TV is cooling dry bulb temperature, cooling WB is cooling wet bulb temperature. Now, below that, you have these 0.4%, 1%, 2% written below both the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature. So what this 0.4%, 1%, and 2% are basically is the 0.4% is how precise these temperatures are. So if I'm talking about 0.4%, then maybe about 96 or 100 readings were taken to come to a conclusion that 95.2 is the dry bulb temperature for Mumbai location. If I talk about 2%, then hardly 65 or 70 readings were taken. So it is basically the precision level. And now this precision level, what you all should consider is basically on the application of the space that you all are designing for. If it is a hospital, then it is very important for you all to have precise heat load calculation. And so you all will go ahead with the values under 0.4%. If it is something like a warehouse or a kitchen, then you don't need such precise wet bulb or dry bulb temperature. You can go ahead with 2%. This is an office space. So I'm going to go ahead with 1%. So 93.6 will be my dry bulb temperature in degree Fahrenheit, and 81.7 will be my wet bulb temperature. Now what I'm going to do is my dry bulb temperature and my wet bulb temperature I can get from this sheet, but for the outdoor conditions in the heat load sheet, I need my dry bulb temperature, I need my wet bulb temperature, I need percentage relative humidity and the grains per pound. So how to do that? So we are going to plot this dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature onto our psychrometric chart. We can get the percentage relative humidity from there and also grains per pound. I'll show you all how. So first we have a dry bulb temperature as 93.6. So I mark it on the dry bulb temperature line in the psychrometric sheet. Then I have the wet bulb temperature line, point 81.7. I mark it on the wet bulb temperature line on the psychrometric sheet. Now where both of these lines intersect, there I'm going to get my relative humidity line of 60%. It will not be clearly visible. I'm sorry for that. I have only limited space to work with. So it is a 60, the line is 60% relative humidity. Now exactly where this intersection happens, if you draw a horizontal line like this, you will get your grains per pound. So what we're going to do is we are going to put these values up onto our heat load sheet. So first is the outside dry bulb temperature that we had already marked, that is 93.6. Then we have the percentage relative humidity that we found, we got it 60.6. And the grains per pound that we had marked as 144, 145.8. Okay, next. Now that we are done with outside conditions, we are going to go ahead with the indoor condition. The indoor condition now depends on the human comfort. Now this human comfort is us. What is our comfort condition? So the details have been mentioned in our ISHRAE handbook as well as ASHRAE standards 55. And this particular human comfort is a range. Okay, so there is a particular range of temperature and a range of relative humidity where a human feels comfortable. So it is perfectly in your hands what you consider to be a human comfort temperature or a human comfort relative humidity for your design. So for my design, I have taken 72 as the dry bulb temperature and 55% as the relative humidity. When I plot these 2 points on my psychrometric chart, like I had shown before, I will get my grains per pound as 64.6. Now, we also, apart from the dry bulb temperature, we also need the delta T and the delta grains per pound. That is basically outside temperature minus room conditions. Now, once we are done with summer condition, we can go ahead with occupancy and fresh air requirement. Now, this is the table that we are going to fill next. So for occupancy, you have two basic methods to calculate that. One is by calculating the sum of CFM per person plus CFM per square feet, or by number of air changes per hour. I'll be talking about both of them. Okay, now CFM per person plus CFM per square feet. If I'm talking about occupancy first, this is my area that I want to calculate the occupancy for. Are you all able to see any number of seats given here? It is an office, so benches and seats should be available, correct? But they are not. So therefore, I cannot count the number of people who are going to occupy the space. Has the person, the architect, given you the number of people who are going to occupy the space? No. So you have to calculate on your own judgment how many number of people are going to sit in this area. I'll show you all how. This y'all don't have to guess. Please don't guess. I will show you all how to calculate it. So the occupancy can be found out from this particular sheet in the ISHRAE handbook. This is an office space. So first of all, I'm going to locate office space. If it would have been a banquet hall, then I would have found the occupancy category for banquet hall. If it would have been corridor, then for corridor. A bank, then for bank. Auditorium, then auditorium, and so on and so forth. So the office space, now occupancy, can you all see this occupancy density written here? So for office space, it is given as 5. Now this 5 is the occupant density for 1000 square feet area. But what was our area? Our area was 5144 square feet. So what I'm going to do is, if 5 people are occupying 1000 square feet of area, so how many people will occupy 5144 square feet of area? So that 25 people. I have calculated it. Okay. Now, moving on, we need to calculate the CFM per person. I mean, we need to put the CFM per person and CFM per square feet as well for this particular area. Both we'll get from this chart. If you want to know the significance of the CFM per person and square feet, you'll have to go back to the previous session that Gaurang sir had conducted. He has explained it very well what the CFM per person and CFM per square feet stands for and its significance. Now, we got the occupancy, we got the CFM per person, got the CFM per square feet. Now, we have the first part is done. Talking about the number of air changes per hour. The thing about number of air changes per hour is only one table is given in the ISHRAE handbook where the number of air changes per hour is mentioned. But this is particularly for ventilation. Okay, here above it is written the recommended values of air changes is for ventilation only. What does that mean? That means you cannot use it when you're calculating the air changes per hour for a air conditioned space. But then why do people use air changes per hour as a calculation method for fresh air? The reason behind it is that this air changes per hour is used where in areas where your volume is too high. So let's say you have a double height area or a triple height area of 1000 square feet. If I'm having a single height area of 1000 square feet, so the occupancy that I have taken and the square feet that I've the CFM per person and CFM per square feet that I've taken will give me the fresh air CFM. But if the height increases, my number of people and square feet will not increase, but my volume will increase. So what happens is the fresh air that I'm going to dump in for this number of people and the square feet will become too less for the area. So by this number of ACPH, we actually use the volume for the calculation. So what happens is, even if the number of people are less and the area is more, they will not feel suffocated because less fresh air is being dumped in. So to maintain that fresh air at a good level so that people feel comfortable in the area, or in a double height, triple height area where the volume is too huge and the number of people or the square feet is much less, you can go ahead with number of ACPs. This is a typical, the one that I'm showing is a typical office area with hardly 3 meter height, that is 13.12 feet. So 4 meter height, 3 meter. So so that 13.12 feet. So that means it is a simple a single height area. So I don't require this number of ACPH, because what is going to happen is, even if I calculate it with the number of ACPH, my CFM per person plus CFM per square feet, the value will always be greater than the number of ACPH. If for the same area I increase the height, then my number of ACPH ka fresh air CFM ka value will become greater than my CFM per person plus CFM per square feet ka value. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate this method right now, because it is not required here. Where it is required, it can be required in your laundry room, it can be required for kitchen, it can be required for warehouses, and all the other applications that is mentioned here in front of you in the sheet. Now, we have CFM per person, CFM per square feet. How do we calculate the total fresh air CFM from both of these? So basically, fresh air CFM will be the total fresh air CFM will be CFM per person into the number of people. We'll get the value, we add it. CFM per square feet into the area, we'll get the total CFM per square feet. Together, when we add CFM per person plus CFM per square feet, we get the total fresh air CFM that is required in this space. Okay, clear? Moving on. Now, we are done with the basic part of the heat load calculation. Now we are going to go ahead and put in the loads. How much heat is being dissipated into my area? First, we are going to talk about is the solar heat gain through glass. This is the table that is used for solar sensible heat gain through glass. Okay. So let us put it on one corner. The first thing that I'm going to calculate, there are 3 tables here basically: area, sun gain or temperature difference, and U value. Area will be the area that we have calculated for this particular space. Now for my consideration, I've taken the top side as north, then east, west, south. what is happening here in this drawing is that this is a solar gain temperature for glass, and there is no glass here. So I have considered the north side and the east side as glass. So when Arun sir was talking about the facade details in the previous lectures, that time he was asking you all to come up with the idea of which side you all want to put your glass facade on, and why do you all want to put it there. So I have taken it just for the sake of calculation, but when you all take a facade, then you all have to explain why you all took it on the west side or south side or east side or north side. Okay. So now first we'll put in the area. So you can see the 1900 written up. So what we are going to do is we are going to do length into height for the glass. So this 1900 is in mm. So first I'll convert it into square feet, into feet. So 62.32 feet. Now I'll multiply it with the height. Height was taken as 13.12. So the total area will be 817.64. Similarly, I'll calculate area for the east side. Excuse me. For the east side. Now, after we have calculated area, we need to know the solar heat gain through glass. Solar heat gain through the glasses, when your sun is hitting your glass, how much solar heat is being absorbed by the glass. So how do we calculate this? And again, ISHRE has provided you with a chart to make it much more easier for you. Now this chart, the one that is right now in front of you, is only for my Mumbai condition. Please don't use it for your Aurangabad condition, because this chart is for 20-degree latitude. Find out where Aurangabad is, which latitude it lies on. If there is a 10-degree latitude chart, there is a 30-degree latitude chart, whichever latitude Aurangabad lies on, you have to use that chart. Otherwise, your heat load calculation will go for a toss. Okay. Now, in this particular sheet, you will see all the 12 months, and half of them have been paired with each other, like July and May, August and April, September and March. So why do we do this? Is to get an idea of the most diverse condition in which we can conduct the heat load, in which we can calculate the heat load. So for a place like Mumbai, I know that the winters are not as strong, but summer it is quite hot, and during the rainy season it is humid. So for me, I'm going to take the month of August and April for my heat load calculation. You all can do it as per your requirement. You all don't need to take August and April. Just you have to give a justification as to why you've taken some other month for your heat load calculation. Okay. Now, after you see August and April, you will see the exposure written here, and it has all the direction: north, east, southwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. Right below northwest, you will be able to see another term called horizontal. Now, what does horizontal stand for? What happens is sometimes architects want to be all creative and all, and they want to, daylight use karna hai. So what they'll put it is the skylight up on the roof. Instead of keeping a normal roof, they'll make a skylight. Malls mein dekha rahega, they have a skylight there. So in such cases, when you have a horizontal glass, that time the solar heat gain is different as compared to vertical glasses. So that time you all can use this horizontal value. Right now for my office, I am not having any skylight, so I'm not going to use that value. I only have north and east side. So I'm going to first calculate for the north side. Now, before doing that, I have to also select the time of the day for which I'm going to do the heat load. Now, this is another thing that Gaurang sir had spoken about. Depending on which side you all have the glass exposure, you all can select the time of day for your heat load calculation. I have on the east side a glass on the east side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I can do a 9 a.m. heat load. But for the sake of calculation, again, I've just gone ahead with a simple 4 p.m. calculation because I'm lazy. Okay. So north side, 4 p.m. we get the value 11 as the solar heat gain. We'll put it here. Then for the east, similarly, we'll do east 4 p.m. Again, we get the value 11. We'll put it here. So this way we are done with the solar heat gain for the sides which contains glass and that are exposed to the sun. Okay. Once we are done with the solar heat gain, we need to select the U factor or the type of glass. Okay. Now we have given a sheet here in the handbook for you all to select the type of glass with the U factors right in front of you. But please don't keep yourself limited to this sheet, because you all can go ahead, go on Google better kind of glass that you all want to use, with much better U factors, and come up with some nice ideas of how you all can use your glass to make your heat load more efficient. I can't speak anymore, otherwise I'll be giving away some good ideas. Okay, so U value here you can take from this glass. The type of glasses have been mentioned: ordinary, double pane, single pane, and then किसी में argon gas रहेगा, किसी में नहीं रहेगा, and all of that. So for my heat load calculation, I have taken a U value of 0.36. Okay, now once we get all these three characteristics for my glass solar heat gain through glass calculation, I'm going to multiply these to get the total load from the glass that I'm going to get into my room. So I'll multiply my area with the solar heat gain with the U value, and I'll get my total BTU per hour. Similarly for east side. Now that we're done with glass, we can go ahead with solar heat gain through a wall. I know this lecture might be a little heavy for you all, but just bear with me. When we reach the end, you all will be extremely happy. Just bear with me. Solar heat gain through wall. But before we can put in all the values for the solar heat gain through wall, there is one factor that is to be filled in before, and that is called the correction factor. The importance of the correction factor has again been explained already by Gaurang sir in the previous lecture, so you all can go ahead there. Here I'm only going to show you all how to calculate the heat load factor using the ISHRAE handbook. So this is the table that is used to calculate the heat gain. Here, the correction factor. So here you will be able to see a daily range on the horizontal line. Now what is daily range? The daily range is the temperature at which an average temperature at which my location is generally having its tribal temperature. So for Mumbai location, this particular chart is again given in ISHRAE handbook. So you all can, you all have to just go through the section 1, and you will get all these charts there. There is nothing to be worried about. So if you all don't find the chart number or the table number, just go to the ISHRAE handbook. You will find it there. So this is for Mumbai region. Here is the name written, Bombay Santa Cruz. Now for Bombay Santa Cruz, as you all can see, there is a range written here for all the months from Jan to December. So what I've done is I've added all the 12 months range, and I've taken an average. So I got 18.54. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 18.54 and I'm going to mark it on my daily range. So here it is. Then on the left hand side, on the vertical side, you all can see something written as outdoor design for month at 3 p.m. minus room temperature. इसका मतलब DBT minus room temperature का DBT. Simple. That we have already calculated the delta to 21.6. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the number closest to 21.6. If you all want, you all can interpolate and find the exact value for 21.6. If you all get that. But anyway, for 21.6, and you all can get the exact value. For now, I've only taken directly 6 as my correction factor. So you can interpolate it and get some 7 point something number. It's your choice. Okay. Now we are going to do the solar heat gain through wall calculation. Like solar heat gain through glass, even in wall, first we have to calculate the area. So here in this particular office space, I have considered the south side as my wall and the west side as a partition. The reason being that I needed to show some calculations for the partition part 2. So I've taken it as a partition. And if you all want, you all can consider all 4 sides wall, all 4 sides glass. It's your call. Okay. So let us take the south side. So here you will be able to see that I'm going to calculate the total area for 25.6 square mm, 25.6 meter. So I've calculated, I've converted it into feet, and I will multiply it with my height, and I will get the total area for south side wall, and I'll put it up. Now, just like solar heat gain through the glass, what did we do after calculating the area? We found the solar heat gain through the glass. So similarly, we'll now find the solar heat gain through a wall. So here it is. This is the table that is used for finding the solar heat gain through a wall. Here you will be able to see all the directions from north to south, west, east, everything. Okay. Here we are going to mark the south side because my wall is on the south side. Right in front of south, you will be able to see 4 numbers written: 20, 60, 100, 140. this is the weight of the wall. This depends on the architect or you, what kind of wall you all have considered or the architect has considered, and uska weight kitna hoga. Now, just for my reference, I have taken 100 as the weight of the wall. If you all want, you can go ahead with 140 or 60. It's your call. Again, above right on the horizontal line, you can see the sun time written there from 6 a.m. to 5 a.m. So here, again, it is your choice if you all want to do it for 9 a.m. or if you want to do 4 p.m. or 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. I don't care. Just specify why we have taken that particular time for your heat load calculation. So I have taken for 4 p.m. I have marked it and I got a value of 16. Now I cannot write a 16 directly as my solar heat gain through wall. Why? Because we calculated something called as correction factor before this, which we have to add to the solar heat gain through wall value. Okay. So when I add 16 with 6, I'll get 22. So my total solar heat gain for south side wall becomes 22. Third thing that we all did in glass, and now we are going to repeat again for the wall, is the U factor of the wall. That depends on the material of the wall, like it depended on the material of the glass. So the material of the wall right now depends on you all, because the architect, as you all know, has run away because of COVID, because of the pandemic. So it is completely your choice. Just go ahead, go crazy, select any kind of wall material, whatever gets your heat load more efficient, and you all can select that kind of wall. But how to use this chart to calculate your final wall resistance or the U value is, here is the formula. The U value of the wall will be 1 upon convective heat transfer coefficient of outside wall plus the resistance of the wall materials. You all can keep adding wall materials and the resistance of those materials. If you all want, put RCC, put plaster, put wood, put whatever you all want. And finally, the convective heat transfer coefficient of inside wall. If you all want to know the actual meaning of how to select the convective heat transfer coefficient of outside wall, inside wall, resistance of wall, Gaurang sir has explained everything already. It is in the previous heat load lecture. So you all can go back to that lecture, and you all can find out the significance of all these names that I'm taking right there. Right now, for me, I considered an RCC wall and I took a U value of 0.35. Okay. Now, once we get all the three factors for my wall, I'm going to multiply these and I'm going to get my final final load of a solar heat gain through wall as 8486.17 BTU per hour. Now, all of these are in BTU per hour. Please keep the units in your mind. Now that we are done with solar heat gain through glass, we're done with solar heat gain through wall, it is time for us to talk about all the remaining sensible load. What does that mean? That means that the sensible load in a room is not constricted to just your wall or your glass. It has a lot of other factors that are being affected, that are affecting your room, sensible load wise. Be sensible and latent load में you all might know that sensible is the one which is the temperature change होता है, latent load is when phase change होता है. तो sensible load ऐसा क्या है जिसपे sensible, ऐसा कौन से factors है that affect the sensible load. So here is the chart. These factors affect the sensible load in your room. It includes your roof. अगर top floor पे रहेगा, it includes all glass, it includes partition, the partition on the left hand side that I was mentioning about, the ceiling, the floor, people, outside air मतलब infiltration वाला outside air, and the motor, अगर कुछ कितना भी HP का motor रहेगा, that, the lights, appliances and all these factor into your sensible load. So how now we are going to calculate these sensible loads one by one. So first we are going to talk about is the transmission gain to roof. इसमें कोई roof नहीं, so I've put my total area as 0 for the roof. But just for the sake of calculation and because you all will be having a roof, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all how to at least calculate it so that when you all are doing the top floor, you all can do the roof calculation. So you all are supposed to put the area first, then you will be getting a time. Select the time of the day for which you are doing the heat load calculation. Select the type of condition your roof is in, if it is exposed to sun, if it is shaded, if it is covered, it is your choice. Select the weight of the wall of the roof. Once you get the value, you add it with the correction factor. and you can add the value here. So I took a random a temperature, sorry, a random time, a random bit of the wall, and I got my roof transmission gain as 32. I added correction factor and I put 38 as my final transmission gain through roof. Then I also need U factor for the roof, like just like glass or wall. I'm going to do the U factor for the roof. Now that also depends on its. Sorry, I forgot. That also depends on its material. So, so the material I've taken for the roof has given me a U value of 0.17. Again, you can use the formula that I had shown before when I was showing the wall part. So when you calculate the material for the roof, you'll get the roof U factor and you can add it to the table. When you multiply all three, you will get the final BTU per R through the roof. Then we are going to do glass. When you are talking about all glass, what you need to do is you need to add both the glass areas or all the glass areas that you had previously done during your solar heat gain through glass calculation. So I have added both the glass areas on the north side and the east side. The total has been added here. Then I'm going to multiply it with delta T. That is my difference in temperature. That is the formula to calculate all glass value. And then the transmission gain is to be taken from this particular slide, this particular chart. This is given right below your roof chart. Just giving you an idea. Anyway, so I have taken the value as 0.6. You all can take it as whatever you all want. And this is what my total value has come for all glass. Moving on to partition, ceiling, and floor. As I said in this drawing, my best side is my partition. And what I have considered for my heat load calculation is upar bhi non-conditioned area, niche bhi non-conditioned area. So only my office will be conditioned all around it and above and below. Okay. So my partition will be 15.697. First you have to convert it into square feet, and then sorry, 15.697 plus the 4,000. Please don't forget that. And also there is that one more line right in front of 4,000. If you all can see my mouse, this line. This also you all are supposed to add. That I forgot to add. I'm really sorry. So you all are supposed to add this line, and this line. This total makes the partition. What is a partition? What to consider a partition? Again, you'll have to go back to Gaurang sir's lecture to know that. I'm not just going to explain all that. So you add all of that up and you put it here. Okay, so you get a particular area and you multiply it with the height, and so you get the total length of the partition. You multiply it with height and you will get the total partition. Then the ceiling and area. Why? Because my ceiling, my total ceiling, the square ceiling is non-air conditioned, and below my ceiling also non-air conditioned. So I've put the entire area there. If the ceiling, if the area above you, the office above you, or the space above you is air conditioned, or if it is the floor below you is air conditioned, then you can either divide this entire area by half, or you can consider it as 0, because heat gain nahi hoga na from below or from above, so you can consider it 0. Right now I'm getting heat gain from both the sides, but it is not solar heat gain. Why is that important? Is because you have to multiply it with a temperature of delta T minus 5. Okay, so this 16.6 is what I'm going to multiply my partition, my ceiling, and my floor with, because it is not exposed to sun. Then you again calculate the material of partition, ceiling, floor, and you will get the total area of all three. Let us go to the outside air, that is the infiltration load. Okay, now infiltration load ke liye, first of all you require the fresh air CFM. Fresh air CFM dal diya. Then you need the total temperature difference. Since it is sensible load, so we are taking temperature difference. Had it been latent load, jo aage aayega, you all will take grains per pound ka difference. That is the moisture content. Okay. This is what I've shown right now is a bypass factor. I know you all might know what a bypass factor is, at least the 4th year students. 3rd year students all can go back to Gaurang sir's lecture and you all can understand what bypass factor is. Basically अपना coil रहता है जिसके ऊपर से हवा जाता है, अब जो coil के ऊपर से हवा नहीं गया, that is bypassed air. So I have to select a bypass factor. Now how do I select the bypass factor? I have two charts in ISHRE handbook to select the bypass factor. One is this is the calculation for that portion. When I know what equipment or what system I'm going to propose for my room, for my office too. So I can do it from this chart that is being shown in front of you. If I don't know what system I've selected, VRV hai, chilled water, DHA, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I can use the application part of the bypass factor. So right now I am not sure what kind of system I'm going to use. So I will go ahead with the application part of the bypass factor, and I will take a bypass factor of 0.06. Why 0.06? Because if you will see here on the second last line, department store, restaurant, factory, chalta hai office mein. So I took a value that was an average of 0.05, 0.02 ka, sorry, 0.1 ka. So I just took 0.06 for my own convenience. Okay. You can your bypass factor can also when you're selecting it based on your equipment. It depends on the number of coil, the depth of each coil. Then if it is finned or not, if you are using spray or not. But that is, if you are sure about what system you are going ahead with, then you all can make calls and you all can find out the number of coils and all that you're going to propose. Okay. So I took 0.06. Now, what is this 1.08 that I have multiplied it with? It is the factor that you use in your sensible load calculation. Now, this 1.08 factor ka derivation hai, that is available in your ISHRE handbook in the last final pages. And this 1.08 is only used in sensible load. A similar factor of 0.68 is used in latent load. This factor is a derivation. If you all want, you all can see it in your ISHRE handbook. You multiply your bypass factor with 1.08 for sensible load, and you get the 0.0648. You multiply all the three and you get the 608.86 BTU per hour. Okay, bypass factor done. Moving ahead. Now people, हम लोग में से भी तो कुछ ना कुछ heat load निकलेगा ही ना. We also emit heat. So we are going to talk about the sensible load from people. Now, for the sensible load of people, we need how many number of people are present. So occupancy we had calculated, we got 25. Next, we need the heat gain from the people. For that, you need to know the degree of activity. So here we are in an office. So I'm going to select office worker. And based on that, I have my room dry bulb temperature to select from. So here you will be able to see there is a 75 degree Fahrenheit. I know I have selected 72 degree Fahrenheit as my indoor temperature. So I am supposed to interpolate between 75 and 70. But just for the sake of calculation, I have taken 75. And under sensible load, I have marked 245 as my intersection for 75 degree Fahrenheit sensible load and office worker. So I get the value of 245 as the heat gain from people. I'll put that, I'll multiply it with the number of people, and I'll get the total heat gain from people in BTU per hour. Next, now we move on to HP. Now HP is from electric motors. Where is this electric motor? How do we consider it? Why do we consider it? All of that explanation is given by Gaurang sir. So I'm not going to get totally into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this chart here. From here, you will be able to select the total the heat gain from this electric motor. So when you're talking about HP, what happens is if you select a particular AHU that has an electric motor running inside it. So this electric motor, when it is converting its electrical energy into mechanical energy, agar uska efficiency kam rehta hai, so it also dissipates heat. Now this heat that is being dissipated also adds to the supply air that is passing through your AHU. So that is to be considered here as a part of your heat load. So right now I have considered it to be 0 because further ahead I have taken a safety factor for it. But if you all are calculating for some precise equipment or for cold room or a pharma company, so then for that you all have to have a precise heat load calculation, and that time putting up the HP of the electric motor is very important. Okay. So this is just the multiplication factor 2545. I have not considered it, but I'm at least showing you how to calculate it. And then you multiply both of them and you'll get the final BTU per hour from our electric motor. Then talking about light load. Now, light load bus hawa mein nahi lene ka hai. Light load is very much dependent on what is your area and how much is and what kind of application it is. So ISHRE handbook has given you on this sheet with the lighting powered density. All you have to do is find the office area here. If I don't know if you all will be able to see this, but this is the office area here, and iske samne they have given me the lighting power density. I can take this density, or I can consider a density of my own. Bolte ki I don't want this lighting power density. I have a much efficient light that I'm aware of. I will propose it to the architect to take this light. मेरा watts light का watts कम होता है उसमें. So if I take 1 watt per square feet, so my heat load reduces. If I take 0.6 watts per square feet, it reduces even more. That depends on the type of light that you're going to propose to the architect. So just for the sake of calculation, I've taken 1 watt per square feet and multiplied with 3.4 for the conversion, and you'll get 17,489.6 BTU per hour as the light load. Last sensible load, that is the appliances. Now, apart from people, apart from the infiltration, from opening, closing the door, from the electric motor, from the lights, one more thing that adds heat, sensible heat to your space is appliances. Appliances, matlab, since it is the office space, so I'm going to tell computers, desktops, laptops, printer, all these appliances add load heat to your office space. So you have to consider the heat dissipated from these appliances as well to know how much cool air is to be supplied to the space to cover for the heat that these appliances are dissipating. Okay, so this is one of the charts for the equipment that is used. The reason I'm showing this is because it's computers and laptops. But ISHRE handbook has, I think, 2 or 3 pages consisting of all the appliances and how much heat it dissipates in watts or maybe in BTU per hour. So all you have to do is just research about it. Put the appliances here. Right now, मैं मेरे office space को खाली समझ रही हूँ. I have put 0 appliances. I don't care, and I'm going to multiply it with 3.4. So my total appliance load will be the whatever watts of heat is being dissipated into 3.4, and you'll get it in the conversion is the 3.4, and you'll get it in BTU per hour, the total appliance load. Okay. Finally, we are done. Whew. We are done with room sensible heat. So what we're going to do is we are going to get the total room sensible heat. Now, the total room sensible heat will be basically जो भी हमने अभी तक calculate किया है वो सब का summation will come here. 1,30,916 BTU per hour is my room sensible heat. Now, as I said, I didn't consider a motor into my heat load, so I've put a fan HP and a safety factor of 5% and a fan HP factor of 0.08. You all want, you all can consider it, or you all can calculate your own motor HP. It's your choice. It's your heat load. Just give justification as to why you all did what you all did. Okay. So उसको add करके I'm getting my final room sensible heat as 1,47,281 BTUs per hour. Okay. Room sensible heat done. Now talking about latent heat. This is the second part of our heat load calculation. The room latent heat. No, room latent heat is the ones that latent load क्या होता है? Phase change होता है. If I am a person, I'm sitting in a room and I'm perspiring, so there is some amount of body heat and जो पसीना आता है that gets evaporated. ये जो cool हो रहा है मेरा skin because my pasina is getting evaporated, that is called your latent load because of people. If I keep the door open in my air conditioned space, so outside air comes in. Now this outside air consists of moisture. Why? Because Mumbai region has a lot of moisture content in its air, humidity high है. And मेरा जो अंदर रूम टेम्परेचर रूम कंडीशंस है उसमें मैंने रिलेटिव ह्यूमिडिटी सिर्फ 55% पकड़ा है, जबकि मुंबई में as you had seen some 63.6 था. So what will happen is outside air, जो infiltrated air रहता है, that will have some amount of humidity that is carried into my conditioned space. So we need to remove this latent load from the outside air as well. That produces any kind of steam or any kind of other form of latent heat, you all can add into the appliances load. Okay, so first we'll talk about the outside air. So infiltrated air रहता है, how to calculate the latent load for that. So here first of all fresh air CFM डाल दिया because बाहर से वो हम लोग अंदर pump करने वाले हैं. Then we are going to multiply this with grains per pound. Why? Because we are talking about the moisture content here. Remember before in sensible heat load when we had done the same outside air calculation, we had multiplied it with delta T because that time it was talking about temperature difference. So I'll multiply 435 with 81.2 and bypass factor. Bypass factor is Q because this is the amount of air that is going untreated, obviously. And we are multiplying it with 0.68 because latent load ka factor was 0.68, just sensible load ka was 1.08. So when I multiply all three of these, I will get my total heat gain from outside air, total latent load from outside air. Then let us talk about people. Total people 25. अभी 25 लोग का कुछ तो latent heat रहेगा. So like we had done for sensible heat in the office worker space, similarly in the 75-degree Fahrenheit part, you will get the latent heat as well. That is 205. So I'm going to multiply my 25 with 205 and you get the total latent heat load of the number of people sitting in your office. Okay. Then appliances, again, like I said, I didn't calculate, I didn't consider any kind of appliances in my space. But if you all want, you all can consider it in your space. So latent load ho gaya. Latent load is the easiest to do. So latent load is done. I'm going to calculate the total latent heat that is being put into my air conditioned space. I get it as 6,566 BTU per hour. Now, just for a safety or factor, because I didn't consider appliances, I'm also going to put in a safety of 5%. So when I add the 5% safety with my heat load, I'm going to get my total room latent heat load as 6,894 BTU per hour. Then taking this room sensible heat load and the room latent heat load, I will get my total room heat load. So I'm going to add room sensible heat plus room latent heat and I'll get my room total heat. Whew. Now that we are done with the room total heat, let us talk about the amount of air that is being passed over the coil. What do I mean by that? You can see this particular section called outside air, sensible load, latent load. Now, this is the amount of air that is passing over the coil. I am going to, I as a person, if I'm sitting in a room, I will emit some amount of heat. Bahar se jo infiltrated hawa aayega, that will give out some amount of heat. Appliances will give some amount of heat. But there is this particular quantity of air that we are passing over the AHU's coil that is completely untreated. So if that is going to go over the coil along with this latent heat load and all, uska bhi to kuch load rahega. So that is what we are going to calculate here. So when we are talking about the latent and the sensible outside air load for after the total room heat load, so we are going to put the fresh air CFM. Now, what we are going to do is a sensible heat load will be multiplied by temperature, latent heat load will be multiplied by grains per pound because moisture is there. That is done. Now, this part is where it is important. Isse pehle you all remember we had multiplied it with bypass factor and 0.68 and 1.08 and all. Here we are going to multiply my 1.08 with 1 minus bypass factor. Now, 1 minus bypass factor is the exact opposite of bypass factor. If bypass factor is the amount of air that goes unconditioned from the coil, 1 minus bypass factor is the part of the air that is conditioned by the coil. It is also called as contact factor. So for a sensible heat, I've multiplied my contact factor with 1.08. For latent load, I have multiplied it with 0.68. Now you multiply all the three, 435 to 21.6 into 1.0152, you will get the total sensible outside air load, and then the same for the latent load. And when you add all three of these, you get your total grand heat load. Finally. Now, this is not the end though. There is one very important thing that we have not selected and we have not calculated. And that is the ADP selection. That is the temperature at which your coil will operate. So let us select the ADP. Now, for ADP selection, what is important is the sensible heat factor. If you all have done your REC chapter very well, you all will know about this thing called effective sensible heat factor and ERSHF. and G or SHF, and how you'll plot the line on your psychrometric chart, and उन दोनों के बीच में जो intersection आता है वहाँ से जो straight line जाता है towards the saturated line, you will get that as your ADP point. That is on your psychrometric chart. So then this is we are not going to do through the psychrometric chart, though that is the right way to do it, and Gaurang sir has spoken about it very well in the last lecture. In the ending part, he has explained the entire process on a psychrometric chart, which is very interesting. If you'll grasp it, if you'll understand what he means, if you'll don't, then let me know. I will explain it to you all. So we'll do it from the ISHRAE point of view. What ISHRAE has done is it has taken the entire psychrometric chart, all the possible locations, and they have put it in a table. So first we'll calculate the sensible heat factor. Sensible heat factor is basically your total sensible heat load upon your total room heat load. This will give you your sensible heat factor, that is 0.95. This is important when you're selecting your ADP because there is a correlation between the two. And if you want to know what the correlation is and how to find it, you'll have to go for the psychrometric chart. You cannot go through the table. So, talking about the selection of ADP. Now, this is the table that ISHRAE has given. The first thing that you all need to find on the table is you all need to find your room condition. 79 is written, 76 hai, 78 hai, 75 hai, 77 hai, and 72 hai. My room condition was at 72. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this table. This is the table that I'm going to use for selecting my ADP. My room condition के हिसाब से dry bulb temperature is 72, percentage RH is 55. Now I have to select select the ESHF that we have calculated right now, that is 0.95, which is the number closest to it, 0.93. If you all want, you all can interpolate it and get it at exact 0.95, but again I'm lazy, so I'm just going to consider 0.93, and we are going to select the indicated ADP as 54. You all can plot this on a psychrometric chart and you all can get the same value as well if you all want. And the selected ADP, again I have written 54 because the selected ADP depends on the type of machine that you're selecting or the system that you're selecting. If it is a chill water or VRV, then you can just change the selected ADP. You can make it 52, 53, whatever suits you all. Okay. Then once the ADP is selected, you need to calculate the dehumidified rise. To know what that is, again I would suggest you all go back to Gaurang sir's lecture. He has explained it really well. How to calculate the dehumidified rises, it is 1 minus bypass factor, like I said, was contact factor, into the room temperature, that is 72 that we had selected, minus the selected ADP, so that is 16.92. 1 minus bypass factor into room temperature minus selected ADP. This will become your dehumidified rise. Once you get the dehumidified rise, you can finally calculate the total dehumidified CFM and total tonnage. So this is where the session is going to become interesting because it is coming to an end. So dehumidified CFM and tonnage is very, very important because whenever you're selecting your equipment, you cannot select it just on the basis of tonnage. You need to select it on the basis of CFM as well. Because sometimes what happens is if you get a CFM of 3000, but if you get a tonnage of 1 ton, then the amount of CFM that the 1 ton machine gives is not 3000. So the amount of air being dumped into the room is much less than what is actually required by the heat load. So then right now I'll first show you how to calculate the dehumidified air CFM. Again, you'll have to select the total room sensible heat, and you have to divide it by 1.08 because it is sensible load, and you have to multiply it with the dehumidified rise that you all had calculated, and you all will get the total dehumidified air CFM. So 8060 is your total dehumidified air CFM. And the tonnage is your total BTU per hour, that is grand total heat upon 12,000. This will give you the tonnage of heat tonnage of cooling load that is to be maintained in the air conditioned room to take out all the heat, to offset all the heat being put in from the sensible load, from the latent load and all. So my total tonnage will come to 15.52 tons. So this is the final heat load sheet, what it looks like once you have completed. This is done for one room. You all have to do it for all the rooms, and you all will have to do it correctly. Otherwise you're gone. Okay. Anyway, now so if you all have any doubts regarding how to calculate this heat load sheet, I can provide this sheet to you all as well. So it becomes easier for you all to relate to it, or you all can use the E20 sheet also. It is also very easy to use. Okay. So both are basically same, बस उसमें थोड़ा different way में लिखा है and इसमें थोड़ा different way में लिखा है. This is what you're going to do to get your final heat load sheet. Okay, so thank you. So I hope you all understood everything, learned everything. If you all have anything else, you all can call me or reach out to me. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.